Dude, a new intro?
That laugh, though, I mean.
Yo, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm not trying to rip on your intro, bro, but can you imagine you like, you doing your thing and you heard that in the dark, like, oh, what was?
Yeah. Like, man, dude, yeah.
Can you imagine you in the dark and you just heard, like, what the?
Dude, I don't even want to imagine, man.
Let's get into it. Yo, what's goody with y'all, man? Yo, what's up with y'all, man? Yo, this is Reef'Lik.
And this is Leaky
This is Reef'Lik anime horror gang. Hey, what's goody with y'all? I got another video.
Today we're going reacting to MR.SPOOK'S.
Yo, shout out to Mr. Spook. Yo, we haven't checked him out in so long.
Yeah, it's been months though.
Yo, we was talking about this before we started the video. It's been like a long time since we reacted to him. Yo, show him some love and support, man. He always grinding with his videos, and we seen that he got hours long of material stuff. So, Mr. Spook, man, we're about to definitely check y'all. We haven't checked you out in a long time, Brody.
Yep.
Our faults about that, man, because, we've been busy.
Yeah.
So, we're definitely going to check out some more Mr. Spook stuff, man. Yo, shout out to Mr. Spook, man. He always doing his thing, man. You already know.
So, please like, comment, subscribe, and join our big happy family.
Yes, join the family, anime horror gang. Once you join the family, you're a supreme cod. You're a loser. You're a supreme loser, man. Please join the family, man. Yo, if you join the family, we're family for life over here. We either your big brothers or your little brothers. You already know. We love y'all so much, man. Thank y'all for y'all love and support. We almost at 500 subscribers. That's a big milestone for us. We love y'all so much, man. So please sit back, relax, and let's begin. Anime horror gang. Let's get it. We're about to watch Mr. Spook. It's been a while since we watched him, y'all. So we're going to check out this one. It's called I Was a Park Ranger Stationed in a Fire Tower. It has a strange set of rules. All right, y'all. Shout out to all our park rangers out there. If you're a park ranger, shout out to you because you're doing a job that we would not fucking do. Because I would not do no shit like this. And I know you not doing no shit like this. So...
Well, who knows? Maybe. I don't know.
I just feel like, man, being a park ranger is different. There was a video game, I forgot what it was called, but it was a video game that like you play a park ranger and then like crazy shit be happening. Yeah. And I'm looking like, nah, fam, like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Like being a park ranger, and then it was a creepy person that was supposed to be like the lead rangers. I'm like, nah, bro. Yeah. And it was some creepy things happening out in them woods. I'm like, nah, bro. Nah, I'm good on that. I'm staying in Buffalo in the hood. Like I'm not going into no woods. Unless it's a log in the cabin and a log in the cabin, log house in the cabin. I don't know what it's called. But I feel like if that's out there, then I'll feel better secure than being in a tent. Y'all already know how me and Leaky feel about sleeping in tents. I'm not sleeping in no tent. If I know there are bears out there or some Blair Witch shit happening out there, I'm not sleeping in no tents. You can scratch that off. I'm not sleeping in no tents. So yeah, we're going to get into this, man. Shout out to Mr. Spook. We haven't watched him in a while, so this is our epic comeback to see what he got on his channel. And we seen that he got some fire stuff on his channel, y'all. So let's get right into this, man. You already know.
Yep.
Shout out to Mr. Spook.
Dude,
a new intro?
That laugh, though, I mean.
Yo, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm not trying to rip on your intro, bro, but can you imagine you like, you doing your thing and you heard that in the dark, like, oh, what was?
Yeah. Like, man, dude, yeah.
Can you imagine you in the dark and you just heard, like, what the?
Dude, I don't even want to imagine, man.
Let's get into it, man.
When I first got the job, I couldn't believe my luck. I was a very solitary person. I loved to read and be alone. When I saw an ad for a park ranger manning a fire tower, I just about jumped out of my skin. Working overnight at a Walmart wasn't exactly the best job in the world. There are some stories I could tell about that as well, but I applied for the job and was ecstatic that I got it. They made me do a week of training before my first shift. Most of it was dry reading and making sure I was qualified in CPR. They showed me the job's ins and outs, and then I followed in my car as we drove to the tower. In the middle of the day, it was awe-inspiring to stare up at the underside of the tower looming above me, suspended high in the air by the metal pylons. Once I started climbing the narrow metal stairs with hints of rust at the edges, I was somewhat less than excited. In fact, I was terrified. I don't like heights very much. It's not like I go all vertigo or anything.
I don't blame
it's
him. I
just
don't like heights
to
either.
stay on
Me
the
neither.
ground. Once we reached the top and pushed open the trapdoor to get onto the deck that surrounded the tower, I was doing a little better. I opened the door that led into the tower's interior. Looking around the room made me forget all about the terrible climb. It was like a small apartment. There was a small refrigerator, sink, counter, cupboards, and a small table. In the center of the room was a table with a map permanently attached to it. Of course, there were windows all around. There was a 360-degree view, as you would expect for a fire tower
need
in
blinds,
the middle
I'm
of
sorry.
a state park. The view
Well,
was
so
absolutely
climb that ladder and look
amazing.
through the
I
window,
could see the
like-
peaks
Yeah.
and valleys for miles in every direction. It was a photographer's dream. The other ranger explained what was expected of me. We worked 24-hour shifts, so there would be times I would have to sleep, but I had to set an alarm and get up to scan for problems at least once per hour during the night. During daytime hours, I had to scan every 30 minutes. There was a radio to report any trouble and a phone in case I needed to call the fire department. In my mind, I was already drooling at the thought of getting paid to take amazing pictures and sit around reading books. The ranger told me that it was extremely important that I read the rule book first thing. He asked if I had any questions and I said no. He reinforced that I could not leave the tower no matter what until I was relieved. I followed him down the
Well, what if
narrow
you had to use the
staircase to get
bathroom?
my supplies
That's
from
a
my
good
car.
question right
He got
there.
in
Wait
his
a
truck
minute.
and hesitated.
I feel like, what if you had to use the bathroom or something like that? Is there like a bathroom up there? I feel like,
I mean,
you telling me I gotta hold my piss? What if I like piss on myself?
man, I mean, there should be like an outhouse somewhere around there.
But bro, but still, you telling me I can't leave the thing until, if y'all are park rangers, please put that in the comments below if you are a park ranger. Like, is there really rules like that you really can't leave that place 24/7? Because what if you had to use the bathroom or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that? Or what you had to like do number 2 and like you can't hold it no more. What, so I'm supposed to like just shit on myself? Is you serious? That's wild.
Hesitated for a moment
That's
as if he
wild.
wanted to say something else, but then he shut the door, wished me well, and drove away. It took me 3 trips to get all my stuff up to the top. At home, it's nothing to bring a few boxes of groceries into the house. Here, it became life and death. I was near the top with the box in front of me when I stumbled on one of the narrow steps and nearly fell over the side. I paused for a long moment to regain my balance before continuing to the top.
Oh wow.
I feel like something's coming. In 2024, your life and your business won't be the same anymore. A new
It suddenly struck me that this job might not be the cakewalk I thought it was. I pushed that thought to the back of my mind and went for my next 2 loads. Basic supplies, books, phone chargers, camera occupied the second and last trips. Once I was up for good, I collapsed into the chair. I was on my way to Napland when I heard static on the radio. I jumped up and grabbed it. "Hello," I said, but no one answered. I figured this was the ranger's subtle way of reminding me it was time to do a check. But lugging 3 loads up the tiny stairs of death had put a serious crimp in my fire watch time. In fact, it had been nearly an hour since the other ranger had left. I did my slow pan around the room, checking each part of the forest for smoke and seeing none. Having successfully completed my first go-around,
Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I know this ain't similar to a park ranger, but like, y'all, I do security and stuff, and like, when I be telling you, y'all, when you cannot go to sleep, you cannot go to sleep.
Yep.
Like, y'all, this might sound crazy to you, bro. If we get energy drink sponsors, thank God for them. I feel like, dude, energy drinks be saving me, and it be 5-hour energies. Did you know I was so tired this week, y'all? Like this past week, y'all. I was in the guard shack, right? I drunk 1 NEWBIES energy drink, the big bottle. I drunk that. Then I drunk a 5-hour energy. Then I drunk a Rockstar. Did y'all know I was still tired after that? I'm looking like, yo, I just drunk a 5-hour energy with 2 big ass energy drinks. How am I still sleepy?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. That is nuts
I
there.
be in the guard shack, really be watching like movies and stuff like that. I be really watching movies and shows and stuff and catching up on my favorite YouTubers that I like be watching. And I really be sitting up there like, yo, I'm really tired as hell, but you really need to be staying up. Because y'all, where my guard shack is at, the boss is parked right there. And you don't, and like you can see them coming from like down the road, but it's like, if you doze off for a second and you don't see them coming, then you're damn near caught sleeping. So like, but see, that's the thing about me though. I always come to work and I always be on time doing what I need to be doing. So they'll look at me like I don't start problems with them. If it was somebody that like constantly comes late or like constantly always be sleeping or not doing their job and stuff, then it's going to be a problem. So like if I doze off for like a tiny bit, they're not going to get mad at me because I'll always be at work. You know what I'm saying? If you're the type of person that don't give a fuck about work, they're going to like try to fire you for something little. I'm dead serious. That's why y'all, I know it might be hard and stuff like that, but if you do find a good job that you really know that you could be doing for a couple of years, please don't piss them bosses off. And if you feel like there's something that they argue with you about that was truly wrong, then express how you feel. Don't hold nothing back. Because trust me, y'all, there was times that I had to do stuff, or we had to do stuff, and our bosses was wrong with doing it, and I had to say what I feel like, because it's like, that's wrong. Don't yell at me for something something that little, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all, sorry, I know it threw it all, but I just had to put that out there. I know how it feels that you have to be up, knowing that you have to do your shift, you have to be up, and it's like, it's important for you to get some sleep before you go to work. Please get some sleep, because you're thinking like, oh, I could just stay up for these next 5 hours, it ain't gonna hurt when I go to work. Trust me. It will hit you like a bitch, bro. And I sit down too, and I got the chair that leans back. Oh yeah, it's over. It's over. And if I threw on a good movie, oh, it's over. It's over with me.
I celebrated with a bottle of water while I put the groceries away. The cupboards weren't empty, but they weren't a gourmet's delight either. Nearly a full shelf of baked beans didn't exactly thrill me, but I had the supplies that should do me for a few shifts. I sat the bread on the counter and loaded the cold cuts in the fridge. I would get some more options the next time I went shopping. By the time I finished putting things away, it was time for another check. The sun was starting to set, so I grabbed my camera and took some amazing pictures. I couldn't wait to upload them to my computer at home. As I looked around the room, my eyes landed on the manual. I realized I hadn't read it yet. I sighed and took it over to the chair. I was sure it would have me out cold in no time. As I opened the book, a piece of notebook paper fell out. I picked it up and read, "The real rules. Never, under any circumstances, leave the fire tower until you are relieved. Turn off all lights between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. If you receive a radio transmission or phone call between those hours, do not answer. If anyone knocks on the trapdoor during those hours, tell them they'll have to wait until morning. Do not open the door. If you see a glowing object floating toward the tower, don't look at it. Cover your eyes and count to 50. When you open your eyes, it should be gone. If not, cover and count to 50 again. If animals surround the tower, don't go down to look. Fire your flare gun into the air twice, 1 minute apart, then lock yourself in the bathroom and hope for the best." I sat the note down and stared at it. Was this a joke? Were they having some fun with the new guy? I wasn't looking forward to getting hazed.
Those are some odd instructions right there. I mean, what orange light you had to... That's strange right there, man.
Dude, versus the light. Then you talk about shooting a flare 1 minute apart from the other one to get the animals away. And then you talk about don't answer your radio or certain things at a certain time. You have to cover your eyes from that light for 50 seconds. Like, that's scary. Like, what be happening in here?
I don't know, man.
Whoever left you that, you better listen to that. They ain't left that there for no reason. I'm being honest. I'm being honest.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I put the note back in the book and skimmed through the manual. It was a real snooze fest of standard rules and nonsense. For the next check, I decided to use binoculars. I was rewarded by seeing a bear and 3 deer. I pulled out my camera and took some pics, but the zoom wasn't quite as much as I needed to get some really good shots. You could still tell it was a bear, but it was a little blurry. I decided to go camera shopping with my first paycheck. What's the use of having this spectacular view if I can't take good pictures of it? Soon after sunset
on
came
YouTube,
the
that'll be
twilight.
fire.
The sky lit up a brilliant
on
orange.
the gram?
I took some more pictures and did my scan. I was just about to go back inside when I noticed a thin wisp of smoke in the distance. I grabbed my binoculars and tried to get a better view, but there were too many trees in the way. I pulled out my compass and got a general direction, then grabbed the radio and called the ranger on duty. I told him I had a fire and gave him the direction and general distance. He acknowledged and said he would check it out. I stayed glued to my binoculars waiting to see the smoke lessen. Minutes seemed
This
to
remind
each
me of
take an
Until
eternity
Dawn.
as the smoke
Until
continued
Dawn
to
had Fire
rise.
Tower.
Nearly a half hour later,
And
the
that-
radio
and that
came
bitch
to
fell.
life. Hey, rookie, the ranger said. Did you find it? Did you put it out? I still see smoke. Did I tell you the wrong place? I said into the radio all in one breath. Whoa there, he said. Everything's fine. It was just a campfire. A what? A campfire, he said. Nothing to worry about. A campfire, I repeated in a daze. Yeah, you'll want to see more smoke and it should be a lot thicker and darker before you call it in. I stood in silence, my face beat red with embarrassment. Cheer
I
up,
mean, it's
the
your
ranger
first
said
shift.
into
You
the
can't,
silence.
like, you know,
At least you didn't call the fire
all your first shifts ain't going to be
I looked
perfect.
over at the phone
Yeah.
knowing
You're
I
not
was
going to
mere
get it
minutes
right
from
away.
doing that very thing. Yeah, thanks, I said. Sorry about that. Don't worry, kid, he said. At least you erred on the side of caution instead of letting the forest burn down.
Thank
I
you,
put
that should
my
be
face
important.
in my palm and shook my head. So much for a good first impression. Twilight had faded, leaving a few last vestiges of light as the clouds transformed from dirty gray to black. I began to realize just how alone I was out here when the canopy of the night fully fell. Doing my checks from inside was nearly impossible. I had lights on and every window I looked out of became a mirror of me looking back in at myself. Alone in a wooden box suspended 100 feet above the ground made it that much creepier. I stepped out onto the deck in the cool evening air. The total darkness was oppressive. I couldn't see anything. How was I supposed to see smoke? I did a slow walk around the deck looking out blindly at the trees. As my eyes adjusted, I was able to make out some shapes of the mountains and even the soft glow in the distance of the nearest town. That was small comfort to know that things still existed out in the world, and I hadn't been plunged into this cover of darkness. I finished my check and stepped back inside. After being out in the darkness, it was way too bright. I turned off the main overhead light and the light over the entrance. The room settled into a comfortable glow with enough light to see, but
That's
not
fire.
blind. In fact, it was a little
do
too
sound cozy, though.
I
It do,
felt a
though.
nap coming on. I laid down on the surprisingly comfortable cot and closed my eyes. I woke sometime later to static sounding on the radio. I reached for the radio to answer it, but something in the back of my mind told me not to. I looked at my watch and it said 2:12 a.m. I froze. Looking around the lit room, I thought about the strange rules I had read earlier. I reached up and turned off the light, plunging the room into darkness. As my eyes adjusted and I could see a few things, I looked out the window and could swear I saw someone peering in at me. Just then I heard static on the radio. There was a voice trying to get through, but it seemed too weak. I waited to see if they would call again. A minute later, static sounded again. Beneath it, I heard the voice. It was a little stronger this time. I could just make it out. Help me, it said in a feeble yet insistent voice. I reached for the radio, but something made me glance at my watch first. It was 2:23 a.m. I faltered and didn't answer. Those creepy rules, I thought. What if they're real? I've already broken one by having the lights on. What happens when you break the rules? I sat in silence wanting to know the answer, but at the same time, not wanting to know. The radio call came through much more clearly this time. Help me. Can't anyone hear me? I need help. The voice sounded desperate. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It had a strange quality that I couldn't quite place. I fought the urge to answer, not knowing if I would be fired for dereliction of duty or not. This what I was out here for. I needed to answer, but my mind just wouldn't let go of those rules. The minutes ticked by like hours. 3 more times the radio sounded out its plea, each time sounding more desperate. I watched the time, counting the seconds until 3. When the time finally came, I picked up the radio. Whoever was calling for help, please state your position so I can relay help to you, I said. Who is this? Came the answer on the radio. This is a park ranger manning a fire tower. Well, park ranger, I've been on this channel all night, and yours is the first voice I've heard. That's not possible, I thought. I had several calls for help over the last hour, I said. Are you sure? Absolutely. I wrote down the time of each call. Then why didn't you answer them until now? I paused. What could I say? Because a weird list of rules told me not to. RaNger, I said hesitantly, extenuating circumstances. Extenuating circumstances, the voice repeated as though tasting them. And what circumstances would those be? Whoever this was, they weren't going to let it go. I'm not at liberty to say. Even like falling asleep and breaking the rules, the voice said, sounding deeper, raspier, and more menacing. I
wanted to say something, but I'm going to just keep it to myself.
Leaving the room in eerie darkness that left me feeling very exposed. I slowly panned around looking out the windows and remembering the earlier feeling of being watched. You can look all you want, but you won't see me, the voice said. It's after 3, I said, hoping the terror I felt wasn't evident in my voice. You have no power over me, the voice chuckled. It wasn't a pleasant sound. Normally, you would be correct. However, you broke the rules.
What's that supposed to mean?
What if I didn't know about the rules? I said, grasping at straws. Nice try, but you knew that you should be safe after 3. Damn it, I thought. It picked up on that. So what do you want? I said, fearing the answer. We're hungry, the voice said, only now it sounded like many voices speaking at once. Come down and let us feed.
Before Jesus walked on it.
My legs turned to rubber as I stumbled over to the door and stepped out onto the deck. The moon was rising half full, casting light into the darkness. I looked down and saw over a dozen large animals surrounding the tower in a circle, and each one of them was looking up at me. I dove back inside and locked the door. I frantically searched for the flashlight. Once I found it, I picked up the phone to call the RaNger's station. There was no dial tone. I hung up and tried again, but still nothing. I pulled out my cell phone, but there was no signal. I paused to clear my head. Okay, I thought. You're freaked out right now, but what's actually happened? A weirdo on the radio, some animals around the tower, this list is making you paranoid. Just then I looked outside, and there was light off in the distance that looked like an airplane. The problem was it was heading straight toward me. It was mesmerizing. I found myself staring into the rapidly approaching glow until I realized it was going to ram into the tower. I found the best cover I could, on the opposite side of the room, and surrounded myself with as much furniture as possible. Being that the furnishings were sparse, that meant I dragged the chair over in front of me. I covered my eyes and hoped for the best. I may or may not have mumbled one of those, I promise I'll be good if you get me out of this, prayers. The seconds tumbled into minutes. Nothing happened. I peeked over the edge of the counter and the light was gone. I breathed a sigh of relief and wondered why I hadn't heard any engine sound. I decided it was because I was too busy ducking for cover. Then it hit me. I grabbed the manual and pulled out the list of rules. There it was, rule number 5. If you see a glowing object floating toward the tower, don't look at it. Cover your eyes and count to 50. When you open your eyes, it should be gone. If not, cover and count to 50 again. I read over the rules again and realized how many had come to pass. For a long moment, I thought that maybe it was an elaborate joke. Some of the Rangers
nigga, you better take that shit serious.
But there was too much I couldn't explain.
Yeah, nobody haven't wrote that down for nothing. I feel like wait a minute. I feel like if there's a note telling you that all this stuff is happening and it's happening right in front of your face, you better believe that fucking note. Because I feel like, dude, nobody's not gonna write that shit down for nothing. That's probably something that could save your fucking life.
Yep. And
you taking it like as it's not like it's not serious. That's how you end up dying. That's how you end up dying. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
surrounding the tower. Then I realized I had broken that rule too. I hadn't fired the flare gun as instructed. I dug through the cupboard where the emergency supplies were kept and found the gun. I grabbed 2 flares and stepped out onto the deck as I questioned the intelligence of firing flares that could end up causing a forest fire when I was supposed to be trying to prevent them. I heard a strange sound. I held my breath and cocked my ear for a better listen. It wasn't just one sound, it was many. I glanced over the side of the rail toward the ground and saw the animals all growling and pawing at the ground, working themselves in a frenzy. I backed away and loaded the first flare, then pointed up and fired. It rose majestically, glowing blood red until gravity slowed its ascent and pulled it back to Earth. I watched closely to make sure not only that it went out, but where it landed, just in case. I waited a minute and fired the second flare, watching where it landed as well. I stepped back inside and hid in the bathroom as instructed. I knew in my heart that I was safe from the animals as long as I didn't go down the steps. The radio sounded off, scaring me nearly half to death. Fire Tower number 5, the voice said. Have seen your flares. I'm on my way. Are you physically injured? No, not at the moment, I said. I'll explain when you get here. Roger that, en route. I tried to calm my nerves by thinking about what job I would apply for next, and how unfortunate it was that this one didn't work out. I thought about what I was going to tell the ranger when he got here. I couldn't tell him the truth, but what else could I say? There were some animals at the bottom of the tower that scared me. I honestly considered calling him back and telling him not to come when I felt heavy footsteps on the bottom stairs of the fire tower. I must have been daydreaming and let time slip by. I stepped out of the bathroom and went to the trapdoor. Are you here already? I said into the radio as I reached down to unlatch the trapdoor. That was fast. What are you talking about? Came the clear answer over the radio. I'm not there yet. I paused as I felt the footsteps come closer to the top. Where are you? I said quietly. I can barely see the tower. I'm probably a mile away. His words hit me like a sledgehammer. I looked down at the bolt I was about to unlatch and pulled my hand back very slowly. Which direction are you coming from? I said. Southeast. I looked in that direction and sure enough, I could see headlights approaching. The radio sounded again but with a slightly different voice. Tower, ignore that last transmission, it said. I'm already here, let me in, please. I stared down at the trapdoor as though it wanted to bite me. Tower, let me in, it said more insistently. I backed away as something began beating on the trapdoor with tremendous force. The boards shook with every impact. I stepped inside and locked the door, then barricaded it with my only loose piece of furniture, the chair. Tower 5, Tower 5. I don't know who that is talking to you, but it isn't me. Do not open that door. Repeat, do not open that door.
Oh, that is some creepy. I would never come back
to hand and locked the door. The pounding on the trapdoor became louder. I knew it wouldn't take much more of a beating. The whole room shook with every impact. I closed my eyes and prayed in earnest this time, and then my salvation came in the form of the engine sound of a pickup truck. I knew the real ranger was here. I listened as it came closer and then stopped. There was an awful silence for a moment and then gunfire. Over and over, multiple shots in rapid succession. Then there was a lull followed by
cowboys
more
and
shots. The pounding on the trapdoor had stopped as soon as the truck pulled up. The coast is clear. Ranger, you can open the door now, came a voice over the radio. I put my hand on the knob, smiling to go out and greet my savior, and when I heard a weak transmission. Don't, not me. It rasped. A heartbeat later, the screaming began. It was a gut-wrenching scream of terrible suffering. I could hear it beneath me. All I could do was drop to the floor and curl up in a ball as the screaming went on and on. I closed my eyes and tried not to imagine that poor ranger being ripped to shreds by God knows what. Soon the screams lessened in volume and intensity as though they were moving away. I rocked back and forth, hugging my knees until unconsciousness mercifully took me. I woke to strange voices calling my name. I opened my eyes and I was surrounded by people in blue uniforms. I panicked and backed away from them as fast as I could until my back hit a wall. Calm down, one of them said. It's all right. I looked around the room like an animal that had been backed into a corner. I was ready to fight my way out. Are you injured? he said. My mind raced to remember where I was. I looked out the window and it was morning. The sun was shining and I could see blue clouds. Everything from last night came back to me in a rush. I looked around the room and saw nothing out of the ordinary. I'm not injured, I said to the EMT. Can you tell us what happened here? A ranger said from behind them. I looked over at the manual that contained the list of rules and for a heartbeat considered telling him to read them. No, was all I said instead. Can I go home now? The ranger glared at me wanting answers and not getting them is frustrating. I know. Is he alright to drive? The ranger asked the EMT. They gave me the once over, BP, lungs, heart rate, and didn't find anything to be concerned about. I'd say physically he's fine, the EMT said. The ranger sighed. Go ahead, he said, but I'll want to talk to you tomorrow. I nodded and stood, gathered my things, and started toward the door. When I got to the open trap door, I hesitated seeing it had been hacked open with an axe. I took a tentative first step, then another. Surviving a night as I had only to fall down several flights of stairs would be quite ironic. As I made my way down, white-knuckling the railing the whole way down, I saw people busy at the bottom. They were picking up shell casings with gloves and putting them into plastic bags. I could see spots of blood here and there, but no bodies, either human or animal. I saw the trail of blood as it disappeared into the woods. I stood on the bottom step for a long time, wondering if I was allowed to step onto the ground. I took the step and bolted for my car. I started it up and drove out of there as fast as I could. Just as I turned onto the gravel road, a deer walked out in front of me. I slammed on the brakes and slid to a stop mere inches from hitting it. It didn't move, just stood there staring at me. As I looked more closely, I could see blood on its nose and mouth. My heart skipped a beat when I saw a shred of a ranger's patch impaled on one of its antlers. Its eyes bored into mine as I slammed into reverse, then drive, swerved around the deer, and broke every speed limit getting home. I called my boss and quit as soon as I got there. Then I packed and started looking for a job in the city. Maybe I can find a nice quiet warehouse to guard. But if it has a set of strange rules, I'm walking out, no questions asked.